Hello, and welcome to episode 185 of Checkpoint Chat. My name is Alessandro Barbosa. I'm joined by Matthew Figuera.
Do you even remember how to podcast?
Do we even remember? Do I even remember you?
No, probably not.
Man. You went off to the land of the big flat mountain.
I did, but
for 2 fucking whole weeks.
Before we get there, I just realized something. When you turn your webcam on earlier, Lenska's like, oh, he does own hoodies.
Rude.
I was like,
but fair.
That's true.
I think so last year when Matthew was looking for a birthday present for me, he messaged my girlfriend and he was like, hey, I want to get this thing. And it was like a Zelda hoodie.
It was a very nice Zelda hoodie.
Yeah. And she was like, I don't really see him wear hoodies. He just sits on the couch in jeans and a puffer jacket.
And his KOA jacket.
This is monstrous behavior. Who doesn't wear hoodies? So Matty didn't get me a hoodie. But since then, I've purchased 2 hoodies.
And you realized how great they are.
They're pretty good. This Adidas one is nice and red. It's very fluffy. I do like it.
Let's see. People must stop questioning my advice because in that same vein, Lenska for the longest time has wanted a nice pair of tracksuit pants. But she says she just can't bring herself to spend money on tracksuit pants because, whatever. The other day, we were in Cape Town. She saw a pair on sale. She bought them, and she loves them. She won't stop wearing them.
Sweatpants are
What have I been
bomb.
saying for the last 35 years? Tracksuit pants are life.
Sweatpants, like tracksuit pants, that's all now when I get home, I get into sweatpants and they're just their life. If I could wear them to work, I would. Like, absolutely.
I mean, why
they're
not?
Just so comfy.
When I remote work, what do you think I'm wearing?
Absolutely. Yeah, when I remote
changed?
work, yeah. No, not a fuck. I'm rolling out of bed. I'm in those sweatpants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sweatpants on the bottom.
Are
blazer.
Underrated.
Over the shoulders.
Blazer. Work on the top. Comfy at the bottom.
My goodness. But yeah,
it's so good though.
You were talking about, I went to Cape Town, land of the flat mountain.
You went to the flat mountain land
10 days.
What? It was like 10 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you run every single one of those 10 days?
We ran very often. It was great.
Nice. When in Rome?
When in Rome. We did many a trail run. We have a group of friends there that we haven't seen for a long time that we met. It's funny because they did the thing where they basically traveled the world while working wherever they were. Very cool. But now they've settled in Cape Town and they both realized that they love trail running. So they've run the heck out of Cape Town. So we met up with them and we got shown a new route in the Newlands forests. And we did it 3 times after that because we're like, this is really nice. So, yeah.
Did they settle in Cape Town because that was the best place they traveled to? Or?
No, I think it is also, look, I haven't spoken to them about that, but I think it's more a thing of they love Cape Town and they're not far from family. Families in Joburg, but they're not, in another country now. They're still within throwing distance, plane throwing distance.
Yes.
As they say.
Yes. As they say, yes. Plane throwing distance, yes. That's cool. It's cool that you guys get to go down there and still remote work and still have a change of scenery.
Well, what's quite nice is that during COVID, we went last year for a month, if you recall. And that is the thing of, well, we're not going into the office. Can we just go chill in Cape Town for a month? And then we both went. But as we went back to work, a few months before we went back to work, I sort of floated the conversation with my boss of trying to fish if that's the sort of thing that could happen regularly. And he kind of implied you better do it again soon if you want to travel because we're going to go back to the office soon. I was like,
okay.
Except one of our bosses has since moved to Cape Town and we now have a branch in Cape Town, an actual shared office space. So
you could always just go there and work from
this trip is nice because I said I'm going to Cape Town. I'm just going to work from that office, and that was absolutely fine.
Oh, lacquer.
Yeah, that's amazing. That option is there, which is very nice.
That's pretty good. And is the office there nice, or is it just a very small?
No, so it's a shared space, one of those shared space offices, but they were sort of set up in one, kind of like a boardroom in this building, because there's only like 3 to 4 people, I think, maybe 5 people in Cape Town, but they've since moved in the building to a bigger space that can seat about 12 to 15.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So yeah, it's very nice. It's within walking distance to a lot of cool places. It's over the road from Truth Coffee.
Oh, wow. Okay, I know exactly where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you walk out our front door, you've met with the Mavericks, which is also literally over the road.
Yes.
Down the road, there's New York Bagels. There's Charlie's Bakery. So you're like spoiled for choice with food there and coffee.
Yeah. Did you have all the good food while you were there?
I did. That New York Bagel, man, really, really good bagels. They do a scrambled egg bagel for like 37 grand, and it's not badly priced.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you ended up going to my favorite ice cream place.
We did. It's funny because Lenska and I took the Thursday and Friday off, and then yeah, it's so funny. Lenska's sitting next to me, and she wrote, like, remember we went to his ice cream place? I'm like, we're literally talking about that. No, so we were off the one day, and then we had lunch, and then I was like, I really want ice cream. And then I remembered, you always rave about Moro, and then we looked it up, and we were very close to one.
Oh,
and
okay.
Out of all the ice cream places we tried in Cape Town, Lenska's favorite was Moro. So there you go.
Hell yeah.
But I will say this, like, I do love Creamery. I love Moro.
Oh, still, yeah.
There's a new place my sister showed me in Claremont. It's called Susie's something ice cream. Like, I think it's a single branch. I could be wrong.
Oh, that's the vegan place, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Yeah, it doesn't have sugar or actual milk.
I think you can go there and get vegan waffles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I've been there. Yeah.
So, Haley. Kaylee. I don't know. Susie. Yeah. But I will say this. So I'm a big fan of Paul's ice cream, but I don't know. Oh, God, we're all wrong. It's Kristen's kick-ass ice cream.
God. Okay.
Yo, we butchered every
It sounded familiar, even with the Susie. That was completely wrong.
I just triggered the right memory.
I kind of got where you were going with that. Yeah,
I don't know. There's something like I do enjoy Paul's ice cream. Shout out to my homie Paul. But those Cape Town places are just on a whole nother level. Like,
yeah, I think like Creamery and Moro are both better than Paul's.
I think I enjoy Creamery purely because, like, the ice cream's good, but they also let you put toasted marshmallow on whatever you scoop, and it
is pretty good.
It is the business.
It is pretty good.
Yeah. Sure, that's
nice.
That's my ice cream.
I'm glad you had a great time.
It was great. I'll be back in a rainy, cold, dry Joburg. It's cool, man.
Fucking horrible Joburg. Oh my God, it's so cold. It's so freezing. Cold. Yeah, sure. But it's...
If you're wondering why we had such a long break, it's because I didn't travel with my PC or anything this time. It was just a little breakaway, which is cool.
It's good though. Like you didn't stream for a while. You didn't podcast. Sorry, I'm just hearing my cats going fucking mental. And I'm like, wonder what disaster I'm going to come back to in the next hour.
Busy wrestling, and then WWE comments is like, my God, King.
Yeah. Just seeing one cat like RKO the other off the fucking
God
table.
Is now what is he's broken in half.
It is fun. There's that video, I'm sure you've seen it, where someone bought like a toy wrestling ring and just like two kittens fighting in it. And there's just like commentary spliced over it. It's very funny. I think it's very good.
My God, King.
But yeah, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad we're podcasting again. It was actually kind of weird, like 2 weekends without podcasting. I got up on Saturday and like I was like, oh, I just don't have anything to do now.
What is life?
This is both weird and kind of nice. Yeah,
I guess I'll have. Yeah, it's one of those things where I miss the podcast, but sometimes it's nice to wake up and be like, oh, I actually have my Saturday morning. Like, that's nice.
I'd get to like midday on Saturday and be like, I've done so much already. What is this feeling? Like, so weird.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
But yeah, it's good to be back either way. And it's good to have you back for Checkpoint Chat. We talk about video games right here on this here podcast.
Hoodies and ice cream.
Yeah, what did you
throwing planes, as they say?
Good Lord. Throwing planes, yes.
Throwing the planes,
What did you get up to? I mean, you obviously played stuff on Switch while you were away, but you've also been playing some stuff.
So
when you got back,
the only thing I'll very briefly touch on it. What I played on Switch when I was in Cape Town. So I did wrap up Moonlighter.
Okay, cool.
I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but what a great little indie title. So if you missed the footnotes or the last time we spoke about it, Moonlighter is this. It's 2 games in one, technically, but not quite. It's half dungeon crawler, half a shopkeeping manager, where the basic loop is you go crawl through dungeons, you get loot, you sell that loot in your family store, you get money, you buy new weapons, get deep into the dungeon. It's really good. That's all I'll say about it, really. It was I think it took me about 12 hours to finish it.
That's not too bad. That's a nice,
it's a good length, and it can be challenging, but I mean, I think if you upgrade your gear enough, it becomes almost like a bit of a walkover. There's something about the middle and the end of the game where it feels like the money you make is just exponential, that you can just buy whatever the hell you want, you can upgrade to whatever the heck you want. But yeah, what a neat little indie that I'd always heard about and wanted to play, and I just picked it up on sale for like $70 or something at the time.
Nice.
So yeah, glad I got to. There's DLC that I can revisit. I finished the game and it's like, oh yeah, here's extra story content, and I looked it up. It's like, yeah, that was added later. That was some DLC.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I played an actual game about crack cocaine. Not really, but Lumines, which is
Lumines,
Lumines,
yeah.
as they also say.
Yeah. Lumines, as the kids say nowadays.
This game came out in 2004, 2006. I remember looking it up, and I was floored by how old it is, because I've seen this game for
2004.
2004.
Yeah.
So,
and then the remastered version came out in 2018.
So this game is 18 years old. Which makes me feel...
It's one of those PSP games.
Yeah, but that makes me feel simultaneously old and also question where the last 18 years have gone. Because it doesn't feel like that long ago that I've seen people playing
this game
Lumines
is legal to drink, man.
It is. But if you don't know what Lumines is, it's kind of like the closest comparison is it's kind of like a Tetris game, but it's not. Where the whole premise is you are given a 2x2 square of blocks with one of two different colors.
Yeah.
And you have to make a 2x2 square of the same color. You drop the block down. But what makes it interesting is that while you're busy placing your blocks, there's a persistent, I don't know what it's called, but there's a persistent like bar at the top. So
it's like a line that just
that's a line. That your blocks only disappear when that line passes over them. I mean, and it takes like a couple of seconds. I mean, not even. It's like maybe 2, 3, 4 seconds, depending on the level you're on, for that line to pass through. So the game becomes very addictive in that you're obviously trying to clear up as much space as possible, but also trying to form as many squares as you can, before that line gets to them. It's just it's like I said, it feels similar to Tetris, but it's not quite Tetris. It's a different kind of puzzle game on that level.
It scratches like the same brain itch, but it's not the same tactics at all.
And it forces you to rethink, because like in Tetris, it's a simple, quote unquote, simple thing of you get all these different tetramino blocks and you have to form lines to clear them. Play Tetris enough, you start to realize that it makes sense to, build up a whole lot of lines, but leave a thin, line open for that good old L block, to drop it down.
Get that well going, so you can get a Tetris.
That's it, so you can get a Tetris. But then in Lumines, it's different because you can rotate your 2x2 square, and it forces you to rethink because it's not quite the same. You need to try and think how the blocks fall, how they're going to stack if that you put one line on another set of blocks and where the others are going to fall.
Like where you're placing them in relation to the line that's coming through.
But what I think makes the game so addictive is that there is a basic challenge mode where you kind of make your way through levels, and each level changes. I think they call them skins in the game, where you're playing through. So you start the game, you're playing on a level, and it starts with certain colors, certain colored blocks, and a certain backing track. Then after you've cleared a few lines, it changes. The background changes, the song changes, everything. And they tell you in the main menu, like, try and make it to level 100. So I've made it to level 40 or 50 something. And even by then I'm like, oh my God, how am I ever going to get to, the max level? But every time I play, I get a bit further, which is just satisfying because it shows that even though I might not know it, I'm learning the game. I am getting better at it.
Yeah. You can feel that progress.
Yeah, which is very cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to get that from a game like that, where it's not strictly, it's not a story game where you're progressing through a narrative or something. It's just me feeling that I'm getting better at the game just by playing it.
It's also just got like really good music. It's like such
that soundtrack is really cool.
So good. Yeah, it's like really, really high beat, high tempo stuff that matches with the gameplay. And I mean, that's unsurprising when you consider that its main designer is Tetsuya Mizuguchi, who went on to game direct Tetris Effect.
Yeah, so which I still need to play as well.
Yeah, listen, if you love Lumines, boy, let me tell you about fucking Tetris Effect and how it uses music and puzzles. So good.
How it's like being on drugs in real life.
I mean, you think Lumines is crack. You haven't even seen crack. But yeah, I'm glad you're playing. Are you playing it on Switch, obviously? Hey?
On Switch, yeah. It was apparently on sale.
On Switch it's really cool because it uses the HD Rumble quite well, I think.
So I need to put it on because I put it off purely because wild. Can you imagine I'm playing in bed and Len's gonna sleep?
Oh,
she
no. Okay, no. And it's so often. It's like every time you clear a block, it's like...
So I need to put it on when I'm actually not playing in bed.
It feels good, but yeah, it's fucking violent. Yeah. Like violent vibrations. It's really hectic.
Yeah, it was on sale. Look, even if it wasn't on sale, I think it's still worth picking up. But I grabbed it for like $70. And it was one of those things of like, I'm going to Cape Town. I don't really have anything to, like, I'm nearly done with Moonlighter. So what am I going to play? Oh, this is on sale. Let me, I've heard so much about it. And I'm glad I finally did. Only 18 years later, which blows my mind. That game is so old. Because now I'm like, wow, hey, have you guys heard of the Lumines? And everyone's like, yeah, we played it like 18 years ago. Where were you?
Yeah, it's really good. I know it's like one of Jeff's like favorite games of all time.
Also, I know, I think Greg Miller has often spoken about it, how he can just play it for like hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can see when you, I mean, I've watched videos since, I can see how when you get, get good at the game, you can just, it becomes not like mindless is the wrong word, but you can mindlessly just clear blocks for like nonstop. Sorry, I'm quite surprised my runs, like I'm playing for 25, 30 minutes at a time, like per run. And it feels like that time just disappears. It doesn't feel that long at all.
It's like a roguelike almost. Like a roguelike
it's crazy.
Run. Yeah, I think you just get into a certain flow state. You just like, it's just going and it's going. And I don't know if it's, I haven't played Lumines in a while now. But when I play Tetris Effect, it's sort of similar. It's like your brain is just focused on the puzzle. And that's why I find Tetris, at least, so soothing, is because you are disconnecting your brain from like everything else and you're focusing solely on this thing. Not in an intense, like if I'm playing a Souls game, I have to be like fucking intensely focused on this thing. But like Tetris is just like, it's just flows. And it feels really, really rhythmic in a way. So, yeah.
So I played a lot of that.
Nice. And then, Switch getting good use.
Yeah, Switch getting some good love. And then I'm going to fly through all the other stuff I've been playing, so I don't want to hog the limelight. But I did roll credits this week on Elden Ring. All these months later. The Ring of Elders.
You rang that Elden Ring.
This game, we started, it launched end of Feb, right?
Feb 25th.
Yeah, Feb. I think we got it like either end of Feb or like beginning of March, and I've been playing it I've been streaming it exclusively since then. I mean,
you've been streaming it like
through,
Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah,
halfway through May now. So this game has kept me busy for 2.5 months, and it's that good that before I even finished my first playthrough, because I wanted to just play more, I started a second character to play off stream. So I have a second character with like 25 hours in now. But yeah, I rolled credits, and yeah, all I'll say is what a game. I've said it in our Discord, but sorry to be that person. I don't know what will come out this year that will challenge
Game of the Year material.
It's just been incredible to see. I mean, I feel like I'm beating the same drum over and over again every time I bring it up, but like I can't can't give this game enough praise, because I think my touch point is also that we're in May and people are still talking about it. Not just me. Like I'm playing it, but I feel that so many friends we know, so many people I see on Reddit or Twitter or Facebook are just still playing Elden Ring. And it's funny because when it comes to, the Game of the Year conversation, there's always a thing of, but the games at the beginning of the year get forgotten. I'm like, yeah, because people play them in February or March, and then, the year goes on. Come December, be like, oh yeah, what did I play at the beginning of the year? But we're in May going into June and people are still just addicted to this game. It's that good. I know.
It sort of reminds me of Sekiro. Like Sekiro came out early in the year. It was like March. Cause I know it came out like around the time you literally got married.
Yes, I got it. I got it after. I played it in April, May that year.
Yeah, and it ended up being the top winner at the Game Awards that year. So, yeah, I think definitely Elden Ring has more staying power than Sekiro in terms of like the conversations. So, yeah, I don't see.
But I mean, that is a conversation in itself. In like, I don't know what game. Not to say that we don't have good games coming out this year, but like, Game of the Year nominees are usually either these surprise indie gems or these AAA blockbuster
like
hits that we know.
Like that,
yeah. Like Tunic would probably be up in the Game of the Year conversation, but I'm sorry to say I don't think it will get Game of the Year because
I don't think so either. I don't think enough people have played it, and I think the people who've played both that and Elden Ring are squarely on the Elden Ring.
Exactly. I've played both, and I'll tell you, I love Tunic, really great game, but Elden Ring for me is just the one that's kept me so engaged for. Like, I mean, my first playthrough was just shy of 100 hours. Second character's in 25 hours. And
that's actually quite short compared to what I've heard.
But it's weird because I feel I didn't rush through anything. I've spent, I think of some of the harder bosses, like the hardest boss in that game, I spent a good 7 hours or so on.
Was that like, Melania?
Yeah. Yes. What a bitch. And it feels short because I know people who've put in 150, 200 hours as well.
Yeah, I've got a guy at work who's, what did he say? I think 250 hours, but he's like in a deep like PvP hole. Like he just plays so much PvP. So
I've done a bit of PvP since rolling credits. It's good fun. It's funny because the community have sort of identified this one Sites of Grace that's it kind of looks like a circular arena, but it's just part of one of the dungeons. And like it's known now, if you want to do PvP, that's where you go and you like put your mark down or you summon people.
That's pretty cool.
And it's this whole other side of the game, which I'm still investigating, but I've already had such laughs where the sort of creativity and names people have given their characters. Like who's the final boss in Sekiro? What's the, is it Ishin? It's like...
Ishin, yeah.
I thought some person, some in the world who had modeled their character after Ishin from Sekiro, like in terms of appearance. But even abilities is like, yep, they've got the pole arm, they've got the sword. The abilities they used, I was like, wow, that's actually so good.
Did they bring a Glock to the fight? Glock Nut Ishin.
That's the one. That's the one they left off. But yeah, for fear of talking about Elden Ring for many, many hours more, all I'll say is that
it's so cool that you finally like rolled credits on it. Like,
I want to get the platinum.
You were just like playing on stream.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool to watch. Well, for everyone who watched that journey, like from February to now,
Craig was there the whole time. This dude watching every single stream.
That's what a champ. What a champ.
Yeah, it's funny because
it's cool though. Yeah,
he was playing it, and then I was like, where does this guy get the time? Because I know he was playing it alongside me at a stage. And then he would still watch me play every Tuesday and Thursday. And I'm like, where do you find the time?
Man's just got a second screen just watching you play Elden Ring
the
while he's
whole
playing
time.
Elden Ring.
Yeah, then he disappears, plays a bit of Apex, comes back, is like, yeah, cool, what did I miss? Yeah, but
he watched all 7 hours of that Melania struggle.
He did. Most of it, he was there. But yeah, Elden Ring, like hands down, at this stage, I'm feeling it's like my game of the year. Just the fact that it's that signature from software. It's that formula, that good brutal combat, but in an open world where there's just so much to see and do. It's like it feels like a masterpiece.
What a
like,
thing. Yeah.
Like there are certain things I dislike about the game for sure. Like the fact that it's so big means that they've had to put in a lot of bosses in, which means you end up getting duplicate bosses, which often end up being like skin swaps, or you'll get to a boss where you're like, no, this is just a random mob that I fought earlier, but now they've got like a bigger health bar and a different skin swap. There's things like that if I really want to nitpick, but yeah, what do they do? Are they expected to make 200 unique bosses? Like, that's a bit of a tall ask.
A bit overkill. Yeah.
But even on that, so I've uploaded every single one of my boss fights to YouTube. I have 115 boss fights. Okay, just think about that. Think of any Dark Souls or Bloodborne you've played, and how many bosses are there?
Exponentially more.
Yeah, like they've
ridiculous.
got maybe 15, 20, 30, whatever the number is. Okay, but I haven't found a solid number. I've looked, but in total, I think there are more than 200 bosses in Elden Ring, and I'm like, where are these bosses? And let me tell you, on my second playthrough, I found things that I missed in my first playthrough, and I'm like, how? I thought I was so thorough, but it just shows there's just so much to see and do in this game.
I think that's the thing that I'm only like 12 hours in, and I've learned to let go of in a way, because for a time I was like, I don't want to miss anything. You know what I mean? So I was very tempted to read up on things and look for stuff. And I think that will rob me of the organic exploration.
100%.
Yeah. So like, I don't mind asking you guys, like in a Discord, being like, hey, I'm around this area. I'm not finding stuff to do. Where should I go? And you'd be like, go south.
Yeah.
And then I found like the Southern Peninsula or something like that. You know, that feels like part of the reason
the experience,
you talk to other people.
Yeah. But that's also how I played the game as well. Didn't look anything up. But everything I did and found was also just through conversation. Like John Michael obviously playing the game, finished it before me. Every time we're at the office, we just have conversations like, what are you doing? Where are you? Oh, have you checked this out? Oh, there's a boss there. Like that, I don't have an issue with.
There's so few games that you can have like organic conversations like that with, like, oh, we're playing this in parallel and there's so many things to discover. Whereas, 99% of the games you play, even though they're open world, they're so signposted. Like, we never had that discussion when playing Horizon. No. Because I'm like, you will absolutely find what I'm finding because, it's on your fucking map. So, yeah. Yeah,
so it's interesting because obviously you'll have the conversations of like, oh my God, how did you find Margaret? Because that's kind of, even that, Margaret's not a compulsory boss. You can 100%
which is obscene to me.
Yeah, you can walk around that castle. It's hidden. Well, it's not hidden, but it's not in plain sight. But, we'll touch on the same bosses like, oh my God, did you fight this boss? What did you think? Do you know that if you go east of them, there's this other area? Oh, no, I didn't. It's like those conversations, like I love games that, drive conversations like that because everyone's having a different experience. I mean, part of our Discord that in our little Elden Ring channel, it's you, me, Miklas, and Kervin. Just every day or every week, there's something different to say, or like, have you found this weapon? Have you done this area? I have to mark everything I've said now with spoilers. So I'm like, damn it, I'm finding all this stuff, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But Kervin
and I'm so early into it. Yeah. And it's cool to see them as well because both of them came into Elden Ring with the idea of, I've never enjoyed a Souls game. I highly doubt this is going to change it. And they're both like absolutely fucking loving it. So,
yeah. I think that's also
really cool.
One aspect of the game that's been mind-blowing. I mean, I don't know if we spoke about this. It might have happened during our break, but sales numbers are like more than 12 million, 13 million. which is
it's
obscene
crazy
for a game like this.
And that was only up until the end of March.
Oh my
because
god,
that's
it's
when their
definitely
financial
sold
results
more.
were reported.
I know
Yeah, it's
people who've
definitely
bought
sold
it
more.
since, like,
Yeah.
one of my colleagues, Bertie, bought it. I think he got it at the beginning of this month. Also, I know, I can tell you this, he is a gamer where he loves the power trip. He wants to be strong. He doesn't want to struggle. And going into Elden Ring, he bought it because he's like, everyone's just talking about it. It looks beautiful. I love exploring. I'm going to get it.
Beautiful. Oh my
I'm
God.
going to get it on a whim. And a part of me thought, like, I know he does, like, the moment he hits a wall, he's going to bounce off because it's too hard.
It reminds me of like Darren. This is exactly why I wouldn't recommend it to Darren. Yeah.
Except Darren did try it, but then he didn't enjoy it. But Bertie
I'm not shocked by that.
has tried it and he loves it. Like, he absolutely loves it. But he's doing the smart thing of like, oh, if this area is too hard, I'll just go somewhere else.
Walk
I'll
away.
level up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just,
which again is like, you can't do that. Like, to a degree, some people say, oh, you can just level yourself and push yourself through Elden Ring, which is true. You can completely overlevel yourself for everything.
Yeah.
And to a degree, Dark Souls was like that as well, but it was far more restrictive because like you could only follow certain linear paths. So like farming your way to that sort of like power trip was much harder. But yeah, I guess in Elden Ring, and I think that's why Miklos is enjoying it as well, because it gives him that option to be like, well, fuck this, I'm not going to do this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's definitely instances. I think that's where I'm also at the same time struggling with the game a bit, because I'm like, you know, in other Souls games, when you came up against a boss, that boss is there, and you either have to be like, okay, I either have to find another route to another area entirely, or I have to fucking deal with this boss now.
Yeah.
Whereas in Elden Ring, I'm like, I tried twice, and I'm like, am I too underleveled for this, or am I just not persevering enough? So should I come back later? You know what I mean? So there's a bit more uncertainty in that. And I feel like I'm giving up on bosses a lot quicker because I'm like, well, I'll just go do something else.
Yeah.
And then deep down inside, it feels so stupid, but like deep down, I'm like, am I robbing myself of the Souls experience in this game because I'm doing that?
I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, my playthrough is also this thing of, oh, a wild cat. I mean, I rolled up on some bosses and they were walkover because I just maybe came back, you know. Well, there's one good example. There's a core dungeon in the game which I didn't know how to get into, so I just skipped it. And I went and I did a whole bunch of the other other side of the map, whatever. And then I stumbled onto what I needed to do. I was like, oh, this is how I get into this place. I walked into this dungeon and it was a cakewalk for me. Like, this is a boss that I'd seen people go like, oh yeah, this boss is so difficult. So I was like, no, but
yeah, it was fine for you.
But I know because I was completely over leveled. But other than instances like that, you'll find that especially towards the late game, this is the thing I always say where like levels do make a difference, obviously, but they have a way bigger impact early on because, you know, if you got 500 health and you're giving yourself an extra 25 health per point of vigor, you know, you're giving yourself, what is it, like a 5% increase in health, if my maths is right. But if you now on 1,000 HP and you put a point of vigor, you're getting 25 health on 1,000 HP. It's like it's still getting an increase, but it's like a 1 point whatever percent. So like
it kind of plateaus very
exactly.
quickly.
So I find that the more you get towards the end game, that whole power balance sort of evens out regardless.
Which is interesting because in previous games it evened out, but it evened out at a point where you were already so overleveled, like you were steamrolling everything.
I mean, I was level 165. I mean, I know like Craig was 180, John Michael was 145 or something when he finished the game.
I see he was drastically lower.
He was lower, yeah, but those last bosses were challenging. Like you couldn't two-hit them. You still had to chip away at their health. They still could kill you in 1 or 2 hits. So, yeah, like I get your concern, but it feels more of a thing in the early to mid game, but mid to late game, it's... I mean, don't get me wrong, it'll still happen, but it does feel like it evens out.
I'm glad because like the thing that I'm worried about is the Bloodborne problem where the inverse of that is true, where Bloodborne's early game is ridiculously difficult. And even though you're like pushing through levels, like the bosses are just like insanely difficult to deal with. And then I feel like the final third of the game is really easy. Like
Yeah.
it's actually disappointing how easy the final bosses in that game are.
Yeah, but it also feels like those bosses just aren't like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is a power thing, but maybe those bosses just aren't as difficult because the
Yeah.
game. Like, I don't know. It's a
Like
weird
Murgo's
one.
wet nose is like
No,
super
it's like a
easy to get
joke, yeah.
by, and then like not Gascoigne,
That's his
the
face.
dude in the wheelchair, I forget his
I
name.
also forgot his name now.
Yeah, and then like if you do the true ending, the fucking moon presence is like super easy as well. So yeah, I just don't know if it's scaled well, or again, like Bloodborne as well, if you do like the DLC and you rarely seek out all the alternative stuff in that game, there's just so much there that I think the game just wasn't balanced for you to kind of like do everything in a run.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Sekiro definitely doesn't feel like that.
No.
But then again, Sekiro is far less of an RPG and more of an action game.
Exactly,
So, yeah. And I didn't feel that way in Dark Souls 3 either. So maybe it's a problem that From Software has kind of like gotten better at over time.
True.
Like Dark Souls 3's final boss was one of the hardest in that game, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Soul Cinder arsehole.
Jesus, what? Yeah.
Can we just
had me
appreciate
completely redirected, like rethinking my entire build up until that point. Like, have I even played this game correctly?
Yeah.
You know?
Can we just take a moment to shout out to video viewers who are enjoying this free cat show going on behind you?
In the background?
This cat just running back and forth on the table.
I had to hold in a bit of a scream because one of them decided to climb up my leg into my lap. They're still figuring out jumping, so they're a lot better now. They used to just climb from my like calf and climb all the way up. Now they jump to about my thigh, but then hang on with claws. So that's why I keep looking down, because if one's by my feet, I just rather pick them up than Jesus. Yeah.
Okay.
They've knocked over 10,000 things already, so it's great. Yeah.
Okay, so that's Elden Ring. I know I'm hogging the mark here, but I'm going to very, very quickly talk about another game I started playing this week. So this is actually a review game. Let me just pull it up quickly. So this is called Dolmen. Which, have you heard about this game before we got the code?
I saw a trailer beforehand, and I was like, "Oh, this looks like it could be cool." I will say though that the visuals in the trailer looked a lot better than this.
Yeah, so okay, we'll start janky there. What's wrong with the visuals here? It feels like there's a problem with the lighting and the shadows. That's what stands out to me. They look like
they're just fucking missing. They look like they're not there. There's no ambient occlusion. There's no. It's really flat.
But you're right. So
also the HUD feels like it belongs in a different game.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, Dolmen. So Dolmen, for all intents and purposes, to me feels like a baby of Dark Souls. Obviously, it's got that aspect to it, but also, do you remember Remnant from the Ashes?
Oh yes,
It feels a bit like both combined, because this game has melee combat and shooting. But now I know in Remnant from the Ashes you could 100% do melee build, but you kind of had to do one or the other, right? You could either choose your weapon and just shoot your way through the game, or build around having a big hammer, whatever. Dolmen kind of forces you to play with both. So you kind of have to adopt close range combat and shooting, which is interesting. But yeah, it's got this interesting mechanic where, so if you are watching the video feed, it's just easier to explain. So like Dark Souls, you've got your health bar, your stamina bar, and your mana bar. But Dolmen's a bit different in that blue bar is now an energy bar, which you can use to fire your weapon and heal if you need health. So it becomes this interesting. So it offers, I suppose, to me, like what makes it stand out to the typical Dark Souls-esque games, is that it forces you to balance these three meters in a very different way. Because if you're using your energy to shoot, you're not going to have any energy left to heal. But what makes it interesting is that, so every weapon you have has like a light attack and a heavy attack. So if you use the light attack on your weapon, as you see I'm doing there now, it drains that blue bar, but it slowly regenerates. If I do a heavy attack, though, it permanently drains that bar, and then I have to top it up with a battery, which is kind of like, I guess, your Estus flask or health vial, for lack of a better comparison, which is a limited resource that regenerates when you get to like a quote-unquote bonfire. Now, I mean, I'm using these comparisons purely because this game wears its Dark Souls influence on its sleeve. I mean, it takes a lot of inspiration. Even that the bottom left weapon HUD, the top left health bar, everything looks very similar, right?
Why is the screen so wavy? It's like there's like heat on the screen.
It might just be this area.
I'm like really perplexed by the whole visual presentation of this game.
Area. I think it's meant to be like this area is hot.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But I suppose what's interesting as was that this game is set, it's a sci-fi game. So if you're watching the visual, you seeing me in my very futuristic suit, but wielding this huge ass sword.
Looks pretty cool.
Which is pretty cool. But I mean, I was telling you before we started recording, I've played about 5-6 hours of the game, and like it's not a bad game, but it's not a particularly great game. Like I have problems with it. Movement feels the best description of this game is that it's janky. I mean, and there's a whole subgenre which I only learned about this year thanks to you, Darren, and that whole Discord. It's called Eurojank. This is very much a Eurojank game where it's kind of got that charm. You know, if you go in knowing it's got that side of it, it's kind of charming in that way, but it's flawed. It's definitely flawed.
And it's like very obvious it's flawed because it's like, well, this game didn't have the budget of the other games that it's trying to mimic.
It's exactly that way. So I think this is made by, I've done some reading. It's made by a Brazilian studio, which is very cool.
Interesting.
But it's 100% that of they've clearly got some big ideas here, but just not the budget to pull it off. So like, if you think we're being a bit hard on the lighting, for example, it's like, yeah, because the game could probably, like, can I tell you, in terms of actual level design and stuff, the game's really good. Like there's a whole lot of different biomes that are all pretty unique and stand out, but visually it just doesn't pop because like maybe they didn't have the budget for a lighting person or somebody who could,
or just enough time to all the passes needed
exactly to fill that role. There's something with the movements as well where it feels like kind of stiff. That's the only way I can explain it.
I was about to say the attacks look
very stiff. Yeah, so like if you're rolling past an enemy, you kind of sometimes I pull it off. I'm like, oh, I kind of should have been hit there. It's weird. There's some weird disconnect here where like the idea is there, but you're right. Maybe the budget wasn't there. Maybe there wasn't enough time to like really finesse all of this stuff. But all that said, I am enjoying it because I'm a sucker for, that experience where you kill enemies, you get experience points, you level up, you get new gear. And it's got that, like there's a whole ton of weapons, both close range and in terms of guns, projectiles. It's an interesting game, and I probably will finish it this weekend so I can talk about it in more detail next week.
It's weird. It kind of reminds me of Returnal.
It does actually
like
have
stylistically got a very Returnal like art direction. Like definitely not as refined. But
no, but I completely get that now. But it's an interesting idea. It's just not pulled off, as well as it could have
expertly,
been. But I mean, all that said, if you understand the context of this is a studio from Brazil who, it's not a AAA shit. Like what they've managed to do, like hats off to them. It's still a solid game.
Yeah, it's not like fundamentally broken. You can still have a good time with it.
Exactly.
Type of thing. Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool. Because I mean, so many times like you get these games like you said, like the Eurojunk, even though this isn't a studio from Europe, like a lot of those games are just not fun to play at all. So if this is at least decent to play, then it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think if you acknowledge that, like, sorry for the comparison, but if you're comparing this to Dark Souls, like I think you hit the nail on the head last time we spoke about From. You said they've got the formula down where the game just feels good. And other studios have tried.
It's got a feel.
Yeah, and other studios, both indie and AAA have tried to replicate that, and they just don't get it right. And this game definitely lacks on that feel. Like when I hit an enemy, it doesn't feel like there's no weight to it almost.
And I mean, From has refined that over more than a decade now. So you can't expect anyone. I mean, hell, we were talking before we started recording about Jedi Fallen Order, and that comes from one of the biggest publishers in the world with a team that is experienced in making third-person action games, and even that feels off a lot of the time. Like, there's so much that can be refined. So, yeah, it's for a new studio to tackle this as ambitious as it is and still come out with something that's like half decent. That's not bad.
Yeah. So I'll definitely talk more about this next week when I've actually rolled credits on it. Yeah.
Ooh.
So that's I'm done. I've hugged up the whole episode. What have you been playing?
So I've only really been playing one thing, and that is a cool game it's a game called Soundfall. It was revealed as I think most people know it as part of the Indie World stream that happened for Nintendo Switch, like, what was it now, a week ago? Because it was on there, but it's released on like PC and consoles as well. It's not just on Switch. But the gist of it is it takes a lot of inspiration from music-based games, sort of like Crypt of the Necrodancer, where you have to move or attack on a certain beat according to the music. But it is not a dungeon crawl. Well, it's more of a... Sorry, there's a cat like on my table, just like...
Meow. Is that Toby?
Yeah, he's pawing my screen right now. So it's a bit annoying. So it's more of a Diablo-like in a sense, but segmented into levels. So each level is a song, and that song determines the like beats per minute for that section. So you have to adjust your attacks according to that song. So every time, you have like a little metronome on the bottom, and you attack according to that. And every time you get it on beat, your attack does
more
like normal damage. And if you miss a beat, it does half the damage. So, and then you're just trying to like go through this world, and you kill enemies, and you pick up loot, and you just continue, on and on, sort of like a Diablo. Get better loot, become more powerful, play harder levels, blah, blah, blah. It feels a bit weirdly like stilted because it's level based, like because it's not a continuous world. It's like you play for 2 or 3 minutes, then you're in menus choosing, where to go next and like what loot to take, and then firing off another mission. So it feels strange in that sense. But other than that, it's like a very good premise for a game. I just don't think it's like that engaging as a Diablo-like or an action RPG. Like the loot so far hasn't really felt like really fascinating to me. I don't really have like a power trip that I'm like sticking onto yet. But I've just finished like the first of, I think there's like 7 worlds or something like that. And the boss in the first world gave me a glimpse of like, this game can throw thousands of like tons of enemies at me at a time, and then it becomes intense and actually really fun, because up until that point it was like way too easy and fairly rote and like boring. So I'm keen to see it through, like see if that sort of through line starts becoming a bit more apparent. Like maybe the first world was really just introductory,
a little appetizer.
And even though it was like 2 hours long, like, maybe it does build from there. And I hope it does, because I think the concept is sound. It's just...
that was an unintentional pun, but you nailed it.
Let me tell you about puns. Everything in this game is a pun. Everything in the story that can relate to a musical or audio pun, they
Amazing.
It is both impressive and so annoying at the same time.
I love it.
But yeah, it's cool. It's got a very whimsical look to it. Nothing like overtly special, but it's kind of cool. And the music's pretty good as well. And it changes quite frequently. So yeah, that's Soundfall. I'm pretty sure I have a lot more to say about it next week.
Cool.
But I'm like, it's one of those games where I play like half an hour and I'm like, like I kind of don't want to play more of this, but I have to because it's for review. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like I've played 3 or 4 songs. I've had my fill for that half an hour, but now like the whole game is apparently like 20 hours. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this for 20 hours.
That's the worst feeling when you're reviewing a game. You're like, this is so long. I just don't have the motivation to play it.
If this thing was like maybe 6 to 8 hours, I'd be like, cool, that's probably good. But I just don't see how this is going to last for 20 hours.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's interesting that it's got like that Diablo-esque side to it with loot. It almost feels like this would work. Again, I haven't played the game. You haven't finished the game, so this is just me speaking out of turn. But like, it almost sounds that the premise is great. It would work better as just almost like a more of a story focused game where without the loot aspect, where you are given certain weapons at certain times. You're playing through a linear sort of story. But I mean, again, I haven't played the game.
I think it would, like, again, Crypt of the Necrodancer and the Zelda one, Cadence of Hyrule. They are, okay, so firstly, they do the thing where everything's open. So you're moving from screen to screen. But when you move from screen to screen, the music's changing. But there's no, like, downtime. So you're always on the beat. You're engaged in that game. But they are very defined. I mean, Cadence of Hyrule is a Zelda-like where you get items and then it's not 20 hours, it's maybe like 6 or 7. And I think that is the sort of thing that needs to that this game would benefit from. I just don't see how 20 hours for a first run, and then you have this incentive, quote unquote, to go back and complete other levels at higher difficulties. Again, sort of like a Diablo, you crank up the difficulty because your loot is now better and stuff. And I just don't feel like it has that staying power. At least not to me just yet. So yeah. But yeah, other than that, cool. pretty cool. I think if you have this on Switch, it would be pretty cool for like short sessions. Again, I play it for half an hour and I feel like I'm done for a while.
Yeah, it's a sort of I've added it to my wish list. So if I ever see it on sale, like I probably would pick it up because it does look interesting. Like I really like the premise of combat to music. It seems very
it's
cool.
got co-op as well. I haven't tried that yet, but it does have co-op. Yeah.
Who knew?
I just saw on the footage that you're streaming here, I saw the like co-op menu and I forgot about that. Yeah. You can also upload your own songs, at least on the PC version. I don't know if you can do it on the others, but at least on PC, you can upload your own songs and it's got like an algorithm that will try and like transpose that into a sort of level for
that's pretty cool.
Which is kind of neat. It reminds me a lot of Audio Surf back in the day where you could do that. Audio Surf, what a game.
What a time.
But yeah, that's
cool.
basically all
Soundfall.
I've really been playing. I can't really remember what I've played over the past 2 weeks. It's been a weird 2 weeks.
Elden Ring. Let's talk about that some more. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm like 12 hours into that, so I can talk about the early game. I beat Margit. It's very good. Yeah. So I have to pick up my cat. He's eyeing my thighs,
tarnished.
and I'm just terrified of this cat climbing my thighs. Give me a sec. We can transition to game releases.
Games out this week. Let me pull up my site.
Game releases. I actually don't know much about what's happening in May.
I don't know if there's much. This time of the year is just quiet. Can I tell you? I mean, we don't really have this in news, but over the last week or two, a number of games that have been pushed out that we haven't spoken about, like Starfall, for example.
Starfield.
That's gone next year. Starfall. My God.
Starfield and Redfall.
That's
gone.
There's a couple of games that have been pushed to 2023, which it leaves this year like suspiciously open.
I think a lot of it's going to be filled in during
E3 week.
Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, not E3 thing. I think we're definitely in that portion where the second half of the year is going to get filled out fairly soon. But right now, it is very empty,
very sparse. So we are on.
We are looking at games out from today, the 21st of May, until May the 27th. So we have Token Rambu Warriors coming to Nintendo Switch. Not entirely sure what that is. We have Hard Space Shipbreaker. This is I think this is coming out of early access. This is a cool game that I've seen streamed a while. It's like a co-op game, and the sort of aim is to break down these ship freighters in space as effectively as you can. You've got like lasers, so you can cut them into different pieces and stuff like that. It looks really cool. Looks really fun as a co-op game. So
nice.
I think that's out of early access this week. Crossfire Legion. I assume that's the Counter-Strike alike, coming to Steam Early Access on May 24th.
Nice.
Sniper Elite 5. This is the stealthy shoot Nazis in the balls and get X-ray vision.
Simulator.
Yeah, simulator.
Nice.
The fifth one of that. It is on Game Pass. I know it's launching on Game Pass, so that's pretty neat. And it's coming to PC and last gen and new gen consoles.
Except Switch.
Except Switch, yeah. No Nazis on Switch. My Time at Sandrock, Steam Early Access, PC, May 26th.
Does this at all relate to My Time at Porsche?
Listen, it could be My Time at
Because it just seems...
Sandrock.
It seems...
Oh, it 100% looks like
really?
one.
Maybe it's the same developers.
Let's actually see. My Time at Sandrock. Start a new life in the enchanting town of Porsche. Yeah, that's another. I might be one of the only people on Earth that did not enjoy My Time at Porsche. I thought it was very... Like, if you're going to make a sort of like Animal Crossing alike.
Oh, is it like an Animal Crossing?
Sort of, yeah. Like a town sim or, that. So it says here on their website, just like My Time at Porsche, the game takes place in a wholesome post-apocalyptic world where humans have successfully restarted civilization after long ago nearly destroying themselves through greed, unbridled technology, and warfare in a period they refer to as the Age of Darkness. Wow, this sounds hectic.
Nice.
Current citizens of this world now band together and reject the old world ideologies as they work to rebuild, but remaking an entire civilization is not easy. Yeah. So it looks a bit more intense than the first one. It's also got like a very Western looking theme. So yeah, I don't know. I guess if you enjoyed the first one, this will probably be good. So, but yeah, it's out in early access on May 26th. Sweet. Acolyte coming to PC on May 26th as well. And then last one for the week, KAO.
The kangaroo.
The kangaroo. This is a platformer akin to like a Crash Bandicoot. That's all I know.
Take my money. Take your money.
Yeah. It's out on like every fucking platform under the sun. So
June has some big hitters, I will say. I saw this image and I just remembered. There's a little Monster Hunter expansion coming out. Got to pick up.
Ooh, yeah, Sunbreak.
Pick up that addiction, but I really want to get it on PC, which means
there's a new Diablo coming out in June.
Oh yeah, mobile. Oh, and on PC. Yeah. What?
And on PC.
Good lord. What else? There was Cuphead.
Mario Strikers.
Cuphead, the delicious last course has release date. I don't know that. I thought it was just in June perpetual 30th, development. Yeah. So Mario Strikers, Sonic Strikers. Where is Xenoblade coming out? Is it June or July?
July.
Is it July?
It's July, end of July.
Oh, it's end of July. Thank God. I was just thinking end of next month. I'm going to have to juggle that and Monster Hunter.
And also in August, I know this will be for you and Lenska, 2 Point Campus.
Sweet. Stray's not here. Damn it. When's Stray coming out?
I think Stray doesn't have a release date at the moment.
No, they're just here. Look at all these games that don't have release dates. My goodness.
You see, so that's why I think a lot of these will pad out the rest of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
Already on this list, you've got like Gotham Knights and Forspoken at the end of the year. 2 games which I absolutely don't think are going to be good.
Yeah, that Gotham Knights thing up there that happened between our break.
That gameplay does not look good.
Listen, for Darren's sake, I hope it's good. But that gameplay, I was like, this looks very, very, very dated.
It looks worse than the Arkham games. I'm sorry.
Yeah, which is
the
so
Arkham
weird,
games had a flow to them. The combat seems like it has no flow.
Yeah, it's
just weird. Yeah, and the whole loot aspect is super. Just
that's like Avengers all over again. I'm like,
it is. It's like we're trying to be live service, but not live service, but also.
Cool.
Yeah.
Should we get to
gaming news? Gaming news. So, I mean, we're only pulling from like stuff that happened this week. We're not going to retrade 2 weeks worth of news because you've likely heard of it. What should we start? I think we should start off with the Death Stranding. I mean, the sort of thing that I think everyone expected, but Norman Reedus in this just random as fuck interview about him and not like games in particular, just basically dropped saying, yeah, we just started the second one when discussing Death Stranding. So like,
you didn't just say that. You have to say it with your best Norman Reedus voice. Like, yeah, we just started the second one.
Good Lord, have you just spoke 10 packs of cigarettes?
I don't know.
Right
his voice is so interesting. But yeah, how random.
My goodness. Just like that. Just boom.
I have to believe that, I don't know, Kojima Studio is like, cool, okay, we were like, you kind of expect there to be a sequel. I mean, because Death Stranding's told very well. And in terms of story, like, I don't know where they take it, but you kind of expect that they will have a sequel because, hey, why not?
Yeah.
And Kojima's not one to do once-off things. I mean, Metal Gear Solid last for
and I think,
forever.
To be honest, like Death Stranding is ripe for more exploration.
Exactly.
Like,
but
I can't actually remember how the game finishes.
I'm also thinking like the game does like wrap up and Sam's story wraps up.
It wraps up very definitively is all I remember.
So it's like, what do they do? I mean, you've connected America. Do you now have to connect Europe or Asia?
And like you've like stopped the whole cataclysm that was like looming. So
but
I don't know how Norman fits into another one.
But how funny though that just in a random interview. Like, who found this? Like, was it?
You know what would be interesting if it was like parallel to the first game, but it wasn't actually following Norman Reedus. It was just like something else.
Someone else, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't see how they get Norman Reedus back. Like, okay, spoilers for Death Stranding. He's dead at the end of the first one. Like, he's done.
Is he? I don't remember that.
He's kind of like dead. Like, he realizes that him and his sister are like two halves of this like what is it? The car, the spirit, and the body, and he's like,
I can't remember
the body, and his sister is actually the spirit, and they needed to like reform. Okay. This is what my memory remembers of the end of Death Stranding. It would be very funny to see someone who actually knows it very well. To
like, no, he's
kind of
fine.
Like
he's living his best life.
But I seem to remember he was dead at the end.
I don't remember
or not dead, but like everything was kind of like settled. Like there was no sister anymore. There was no.
I just remember it being a pretty definitive ending. I don't know. I can't remember him dying or whatever.
Oh no, wait, he's not dead. But there is a moment where you see credits and he's on like that beach and he looks dead, but then he comes back to life. I don't remember a lot of that. But no, he is alive because the last thing you hear him is him with his BB and he calls him Lou.
So Death Stranding 2 will the BB grown up?
The BBB will be BB grown.
I can't at this game. But how funny that, like, what interview was this? Was this just a random interview?
Yeah, it was just a random interview. And so this is the whole quote. He was talking about how he came about getting the role in Death Stranding. And this is transcribed by Eurogamer. He said, Guillermo del Toro, who gave me my first movie, called me up and said, hey, there's a guy named Hideo Kojima, he's going to call you, just say yes. And I go, what do you mean, just say yes? He goes, stop being an asshole, just say yes.
Wow.
Then I was in San Diego and Hideo came with a big group of people. He's from Tokyo. Wow. And he showed me what he was working on a game called Silent Hill. I was blown away by what he was showing me and I was like, yeah, let's do this. It's not Mrs. Pac-Man. What the fuck? It's so realistic. It's so futuristic. It's so complicated and beautiful. And I was completely blown away. Has Norman Reedus not played games in like 20 years?
Apparently. Apparently.
It took me maybe 2 or 3 years to finish all the mocap sessions and everything. It takes a lot of work. And then the game came out and it won all these awards. And it was huge. It was a huge thing. So we just started part 2 of that. Like, that's just the interview. Just like... What?
Okay, but what interview was this? It was like, who was it with? Was it a gaming
So it was
studio?
with this publication called Leo Edit, and it's just like this massive like. It's not even just about games. It's just about Norman Reedus' acting life.
Yeah, but that's my point. Can you imagine being a gaming journalist and you just pop on your favorite podcast, Leo, whatever the hell, and then like, oh yeah, they've got a Norman Reedus, and he says this. It's like, hold on. Did he
you're like, wait a minute, none of this was confirmed. Like, what are you talking about? And what's even funnier is that Kojima Productions, they didn't confirm or deny this, but
I mean,
they put out a tweet yesterday about all their job postings. So like,
yeah, it's definitely happening, I'd say. So yeah, I mean, I think we won't see that for a while, but it is happening. Yeah. What other news shall we bounce to? Tell me about. Okay, this is random, but tell me about this Dead by Daylight dating sim.
So yeah.
There's a headline you never thought you'd read.
Yeah, Dead by Daylight dating sim. So this is from the developers of actual Dead by Daylight. Is it asymmetrical? It's a horror
It's
game,
a horror
multiplayer game. Yeah,
1v4
they've got like
something.
They've got killers from all sorts of franchises. Like they've got Ghostface Killer and they've got Leatherface and all of those. But now there's a dating sim and it's called Hooked on You, a Dead by Daylight dating sim. So,
of course,
essentially, it's not canon, obviously.
What?
Hooked on You is a collaboration, according to Polygon, is a collaboration with developer Psyop, perhaps known for its work on 2019's KFC-themed dating sim I Love You, Colonel Sanders. Which I think it was far easier to make Colonel Sanders sexy than it is like a dude who wears the faces of his enemies.
I don't know. Look at this key art.
Hooked on You is based around the archetypal beach episode from anime and manga. So there'll be sunlight and swimsuits aplenty. Jesus.
I wish I was in the boardroom when this pitch happened.
I know, right? Like someone just walked in the office today and was like, "I'm going to choose violence,"
but
and
not
ends up
actual
being
violence.
greenlit, and he's like, "What the fuck?" Like,
it is just an April Fool's prank. Come on. So that's coming out.
So yeah, that's coming out. I think they said this summer.
I mean, look at this key art. It's summer. It has to be summer, right?
It looks like summer. Yeah.
Well,
it's great.
It's great.
It's just, I remember them teasing an announcement, and I don't think anyone, like, if you had to put like a wager on what you thought the announcement was, I don't think anyone would have guessed this.
The one person who
so
did, who put down like $1, just won like $30 million.
Yeah, just play the lotto today.
Oh God, yeah.
Play the lotto today.
That same person. I suppose I should have segued to this with the Death Stranding 2 news because of the Silent Hill connection, but I didn't realize it at the time. But
oh my God, yeah,
Silent Hill 2 might be the next horror game remake? Question mark.
Oh God, so I mean, we all know that ever since Kojima's Silent Hills project got shut down, there have been rumors and rumors and rumors that there's going to be another Silent Hill of some kind. I think last year or the year before, they kind of picked up steam where there was this indication that Konami was licensing the IP out. So they weren't developing it in-house. They were just like finding developers or accepting pitches from developers who wanted to do something with the IP. And at the time, it was thought of that, Sony was involved in one of them. Bloober Team, the developers of Layers of Fear and The Medium, were behind them, stuff like that. But it kept like coming and going. But now there's just been a whole new fresh like wave of reports. They come from like Video Games Chronicle and VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb and a YouTuber called Nate the Hate, which is quite, renowned at these sort of things. And they're all like corroborating the same things. They're all kind of saying they've heard the same things. And one of those is that a remake project is in the works, and it's a remake of Silent Hill 2, which is, as far as I can tell, considered like the best one. And that one is the one being developed by Bloober Team. So it is set to feature improvements, new puzzles, and several new endings. It may arrive as a timed PlayStation exclusive, which would link up to the Sony thing. And Bloober Team has done this before. The Medium was a timed Xbox exclusive. So, and the medium was, for all intents and purposes, very Silent Hill-ish. The issue is that most people who actually like Silent Hill think Bloober Team are very bad at horror, and so this doesn't really like make them happy.
That's hilarious. I mean, look, I
tend to agree. I think the medium's not that good.
Yeah, it was an entirely okay game.
Yeah, it's not that scary.
Actually, very light and horror. Actually, like setting was great, but the horror was But so I can't speak for what Bloober Team will do with this, but I do think it is time that we saw Silent Hill again. Like,
I
can't tell you that I'm a huge Silent Hill fan. I think I played Silent Hill 3 or 4 for a couple of hours, and that's like literally my only touch point. I did play the PT demo. I would have loved to have seen that
I never played
game.
the PT demo, and every time I watch videos on it, I actually get scared. That game is terrifying.
That is, So again, like, it was a demo. Could they carry that tension for a whole game? Like, questionable. I don't know, but that was that's if that was what a modern day Silent Hill looked like. Oh, I wish we could have seen it. But that being said, we've seen another classic horror series get a whole new wave of life with a whole lot of Resident Evil remakes. Like with Resident Evil Remake 2 being like really a pinnacle title and showing how to do a remake very well. I mean, and Silent Hill's been dead for a very long time, so bring it back. I mean, PT was a PS3 game. Can we just remember? And that was how long ago? Crazy.
No, that's true. And it's still like, I mean, yes, like you said, it was a very small slice of a game, so they could probably pump a lot into it, but just it understood atmosphere and horror in a way that I feel like Bloober doesn't. I mean, some of these pictures, again, these are all like fragments of information that are probably pulled from pitches that were, pitched to Konami. Who knows which ones actually made it past that stage. But I know there's one pitch that described a game that you would enter your cell phone number into, and then characters from in-game would message you while you were away from playing the game. And stuff that seems like a really cool idea.
That's very cool.
I kind of like that. Like persisting the horror outside of the game experience.
That is such a good idea. I don't know in terms of infrastructure how you pull it off, but what a good idea. It is. Can you imagine? Like
that to me sounds like a Kojima thing. That sounds like an idea Kojima had for Silent Hills. Like I would not put it past him.
Hey, Dead Stranding 2, you're going to get messages from Sam Bridges like, hey, I'm on the beach.
Get messages from your BB, just like fucking rambling, nonsensical English.
It's like new message from BB.
Good
Man,
Lord.
what a good idea. That's great.
Yeah. So that's the state of Silent Hill. Good or
I don't
not,
even know what to
knows?
pivot to from that. Other
Should
monsters.
we talk about the Multiverses trailer?
Okay.
Quickly?
I was going to go do the
and then the rest I think we can just fly through. Yeah.
So
Multiverses, this is the Super Smash Bros, but Warner Brothers.
With Batman.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of
Batman
other characters
and
you
Superman
love
and
to
Ultra
see.
Instinct Shaggy. And listen, I mean, the trailer looked, it's got a distinct art style that you either love or hate, I think. But there were previews of the game that came out 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, it was this week.
And boy, they were all very positive. This shamelessly copies. Is that Arya Stark? Sorry, I just realized that. That was Arya Stark in Bugs Bunny. Wow.
Fighting Batman and Shaggy.
Wow.
Yeah. For audio listeners, just imagine that happening on the screen right now.
Sure. So all the previews are very, very positive. So maybe they're onto something here, because I mean the formula of Super Smash has been attempted to be replicated a while. Like Sony did their PlayStation All Stars stuff,
which was not good.
So there's a charm to Super Smash Bros. That I think games struggle to find, but seemingly this seems good.
How funny that Nintendo did Super Smash however many decades ago, and it was a thing of, what if we just united all of our entire library of characters in a 2D fighting game? And that became like the blueprint. Because I was saying to you before we recorded, it's not the fact that you have a whole library of characters is cool. Like, put them in a game. Yeah. Obviously it's going to be a fighting game, but why does it always have to be a Super Smash-esque fighting game? No, I don't know if we've seen anything on this level where it's like a Street Fighter or a Tekken. Yeah, I mean, there's
why
like,
not just a 1v1 fighting game? Oh, I mean, I guess Injustice kind of does that.
Injustice kind of does, and there's Marvel vs. Capcom, but there's nothing where it takes like it's not a Warner Brothers or a Sony taking the entire library of characters and then making a Tekken, for example. It's always this, platforming / fighting game. It's just funny that that's the blueprint that people always try to copy.
I think it's also like, I mean, Smash at its inception was a party game. Like it's only really its fans that took it seriously as a fighting game, and then it went on from there.
Exactly.
So this could just be a fun party game.
And it's free to play. I did not know that.
Yeah, free to play. I really like that they have Superman and the Iron Giant here. Pretty cool. And you can see from the trailer, like just some of the characters in there. You've got like a pretty decent number there. So you've got like Wonder Woman, Velma, Taz,
Harley Quinn, Tom and Jerry.
You've got characters from Adventure Time, Steven from Steven in the Universe. I don't know who that blue dog is. Don't know what the fuck that is.
This dog?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. It's like a mythical something.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. But yeah, cool. Seems cool. There's a closed alpha or closed beta coming soon or something like that. So yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Let's fly through these other ones very, very quickly.
The Witcher 3's PS5 and Xbox Series X and S updates release later this year.
Yeah, so this is something that was meant to release much earlier this year, but CD Projekt Red earlier in the year said it was delayed. They've now put a window on it. They say Q4 2022. Last time they put a window on this thing, like they put a Q2 on Cyberpunk or Q1, and it came out like right at the beginning of that quarter.
Okay, so can we just appreciate that The Witcher 3 is now 7 years old?
Hey, I mean, we were saying that the end of the year is empty, so if you're really looking for something, you can play a better looking version of The Witcher for 90 hours.
I'm not going to play the original Witcher, but I've not touched the DLC, which I think is ripe for visiting with this update, which is very cool.
And I think this update's going to be cool because even on PC, you're getting upgrades. It's going to add like ray tracing and stuff like that. So, yeah, hopefully it looks good. I mean, the game still looks very good. So
you can hear Geralt say "winds howling" in ray tracing.
Winds howling in 7.1 Atmos surround sound.
Like, whoa, the wind is howling. Can't believe it.
Saber Interactive has joined the development of Star Wars The Old Republic, or Knights of the Old Republic remake, which isn't surprising because Saber Interactive kind of like, they're all owned by the same Embracer group. The main developer is Aspia. But they are helping development on that. I just want to see if they mentioned, there was like a mention of like where the game currently is.
It's in development. What do you mean?
Yeah. Oh, it says, we're fully confident that the game is going to be fantastic, but it is a massive, massive product, and massive products require a lot of effort and a lot of time to make good, especially when you're talking about a game already old, very old. We've basically had to remake the game from scratch. There was an assurance there. You'll hear more about the game in the next several months.
At not E3 with Jeff Keighley. Hey-o.
Pretty sure it will be there. I mean, it was announced last year at Keighley's event. So.
How old is Knights of the Old Republic? I mean, this is an old-ass game.
It's
interesting. I bought it. There was a Star Wars sale like 3 years ago. Let's call it on Steam.
It is nearly 20 years old. It will be 20 years old next year.
So I missed Knights of the Old Republic, and I started playing it 3-4 years ago, and I played a couple of hours, and I can see the appeal of it, but I don't know, I think I just got distracted or just it didn't grab me.
It's a very old RPG. Yeah.
So like I know a lot of people rave about this game. I'm personally thrilled that there'll be a remake, a modern spin on the game. So
super good. Like still one of the better Star Wars stories out there, and a pity that its sequel, I think its sequel is very good. A lot of people don't agree, but its sequel suffered from like cut content and stuff like that.
No.
So,
yeah.
But boy, if you haven't been spoiled by the twist yet, you are in for a fucking ride. It is like,
don't tweet me. I don't know what it is.
It is like on the level of a like Sixth Sense or like Vader, I'm your father type of twist. Like
you found out your
just
Jedi's been
fucking
dead
out of
the whole
nowhere.
time. Oh no.
It's wild. It's so good. Yeah,
Sweet.
it's good. Game is great.
Last pieces of news. Apex Legends Mobile kicks off with an exclusive new hero. So I don't know anything about the hero, but I can say that I've seen Apex Legends Mobile because my one colleague has it and is playing it and loving it. And this game looks really good on phones.
I should give it a go. I've got like a controller for my phone. So
and what's funny is that he was saying that the mobile version has team deathmatch, which the actual console and PC versions do not. Which is quite cool for, you want quick bouts of games without having to deal with the whole battle royale. Not nonsense, but nonsense of looting, landing, etc.
It's definitely nonsense. It's definitely nonsense.
So this game is out, is free to play, of course, as is normal Apex Legends. I don't think there's crossplay like Fortnite on this. I think it's its entirely own separate thing, but I stand to be corrected. I don't know.
I do think it's its own thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a Fortnite. I think it's like a separation, sort of like your PUBG Mobile and your COD Mobile.
Exactly, it's its own separate
entities.
thing.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, it's the same game just on mobile with a team deathmatch mode. So,
neat.
Yeah, played with the controller. I've seen my colleague played with touch buttons. I see that. I'm immediately like, no thanks.
Well, yeah, I've got one. I mean, you can connect any Bluetooth controller to your phone nowadays, but I've got one of those like ones that like clamp on the side, so I think that'll be pretty fun. And I'm sure it puts you in different hoppers based on whether you're using a controller or touch.
Yeah,
just
because if you have a controller versus touch only people, oh my god, those poor people.
You say that, but boy, some kids have gotten fucking stupidly good at touch controls. Yeah, unreal, just really insanely good.
Yeah, and then last piece of news: Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, is now available on Nintendo Switch Online. Now I was very confused because I proclaimed when I reviewed Kirby in the Forgotten Lands earlier this year that was the first 3D game. Now imagine my surprise, and I mean the first like fully, you can move in a 3D world game. Now,
yes.
Imagine my shock when I was like, oh yeah, there's a Kirby 64. Was that not a 3D game? And no, it was not. It was a 2D game with 3D graphics.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see
you just getting everything wrong.
No, I wasn't wrong. That's the point. This is still a 2D game. The Kirby in the Forgotten Land was the first proper 3D navigation Kirby. I don't know what the hell it's called.
Is it though? It's on the Nintendo 64. It's a 3D game, right?
It's a 3D game, but you cannot move in a 3D plane. Don't fight
that's
me.
What you think. You're just playing it incorrectly.
Look at these brilliant graphics. King DDD looks great in 64.
He's so good. I love him.
Yeah, but so if you got the service, there you go. There's a new Kirby game out now.
The best Kirby game.
The best. No, my goodness.
Definitely not.
Yeah, that's news for this week.
That's all the news. So that means we can jump onto questions. If you want to send us a question, you can email us checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media at checkpointchat, pretty much everywhere.
All of the places.
So what have we got on the agenda
today? So we have some questions on Instagram stories. Number one from Yashar, who asks, are you getting the new PS Plus?
Oh yeah, I guess this is something that happened. It
also happened, yeah.
I think it did happen this week actually, so we kind of missed it. But yeah.
It was this week, you're right. Sorry, we missed that.
Yeah, that shit was super disappointing, I think, that list. So if you don't know, they put out a list of games that are going to be added to the series as part of the 3 tiers. So at the top tier is the one where you get like your PS1 and PS2 games or whatever. So the PS2 games, firstly, you don't actually get PS2 games. You're just getting PS2 games that have PS4 remasters for them or PS3 remasters, whatever. Yeah. So like Jack and Daxter, for example, you're getting the PS3 remastered version or PS4 remastered version of that. There aren't any PS2 games like that are coming to the service. And then the PS1 games list is supremely thin. It is so lackluster in that regard. Like there is nothing there that actually entices me to subscribe to that tier just for that. And it's especially annoying that, well, okay, so previously it was thought that you had to subscribe to that tier to get those games. But as part of this announcement, Sony said that any PS1 games that were purchasable on PS4, as a PS1 classic, like Symphony of the Night, for example, will work on PS5. You can just download them. You don't have to subscribe to. So that's a big win. I say big win, but it's also like the bare fucking minimum, like that should be expected at this point. Like, yes, I expect my previous purchases to work on this console without having to be subscribed to a service.
Xbox has been getting that right for years now with backwards compatibility.
This is why when everyone's like, "Oh, that's incredible news," I'm like, "No, it's just what." No, it should have been this already. Like, come on, you can't celebrate people for giving you shit that you should have already had access to.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous, just ridiculous. So, I will say though that the middle tier, which is the one that gives you access to the PS4 and PS5 games, seems pretty good because the PS4 and PS5 list is actually, I think, quite extensive and quite nice.
It kind of is. I don't think it's on the same level as Game Pass, but it is certainly an offering akin to Game Pass for Sony people. Because there are some third-party titles there that it's exactly like Game Pass, which is cool. So if you want, I think we have to see how often they update this library. Because
I think they said they're doing it like every 3 months or something like that.
Oh, you ready for WWE behind me? Here we go. Yeah. The cat's gonna wrestle. Xbox are so good at like literally every 2 weeks. It feels like it's like, hey, there's these 8 new games coming to Game Pass, and then like they quietly remove a couple, but it's like those that get removed have been on the service for however long, a year or 2 or 3 or whatever.
Yeah, usually Game Pass has a year-long deal with stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I think that one at least, it fills the whole of like, if you've just bought a PS5, you can subscribe to that and you've got a wealth of games, got so like many exclusives and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that one is the one to get. Will I be upgrading? Probably not.
No. Look, like, if I were this is a problem I don't have, fortunately. If I was starved for games, like the middle tier,
that's the thing. Yeah.
The middle tier is something I definitely consider, especially from a PlayStation point of view. If you, like you said, if you've just picked up a PS5, you don't have to buy all these games. You just subscribe, you'll get access to Returnal, Ghost of Tsushima, and obviously a whole backlog of PS4 games that have since been updated to PS5. Like you can play God of War, for example. You can play Bloodborne on PS4. Give us a PS5 patch, Shoni. What are you doing? We're waiting here. Give us that.
No, I 100% agree. But we're also in the fortunate position where we get access to a lot of the exclusives anyway. So like it's a very different value proposition for people like us. And it's also very different, I think, for both of us because we have access to Game Pass. I think if you only have a PlayStation, then that middle tier makes a lot of sense. I think the upper tier only really makes sense if you want the classics. And I think their offerings are pretty crap. So unless we're getting the tiers wrong and you don't actually get access to the PS4, PS5 in the middle tier, I don't know.
No, I think you do. I could be wrong.
It's such a confusing mess, especially for us because we don't get the PS3 streaming. So we have a completely separate middle tier. So that's the other thing. We don't get access to the PS3 games, which is fine because our subscription is priced lower to account for that. But it's still disappointing because it's like, well, actually not. I thought it would be disappointing because I was like, oh, well, I want to be able to play games like Metal Gear Solid 4. But then Metal Gear Solid 4 isn't even on that fucking list. So, like, what are we even doing?
That is literally the only game I'd want.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous that game is not on that list. Like, that is a game synonymous with PS3, and it is also a game that only exists on PS3 still today. Like,
no. It's crazy.
Just crazy to me. I don't understand.
More crazy than
I also don't understand that game. I don't understand that game trials are on the highest tier. So like, if this is Sony, they're like, cool, we want to sell our exclusives, so we're not going to put them day one on the service, but we're going to put 2-hour demos on the service. But also, you need to be subscribed to the highest tier of our service to even get access to those demos.
Yeah, the tiering system is just bizarre.
How the fuck
Full
does
stop.
that help push people to purchase the game if you're literally like you're getting people to pay for demos? Just like
That should be on the lowest tier.
What? That should be on the lowest tier. That should be on the
Yeah.
base tier. That shouldn't even be on a tier. But if it's going to be on it, it should just be a thing. Like Steam offers that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're going to put it behind a paywall, put it on the bottom tier on just standard ass PlayStation Plus. Like,
it's weird. Well,
but like it's so easy for someone to go like Game Pass gives you exclusives, Sony gives you trials to exclusives for the same price, and it's just like that's crazy to me.
But even that,
like,
it's just the communication of the tiering system is so weird because it's like I know Xbox has Xbox Live Gold and whatever, but like it's so easy to understand. There's Xbox Live Gold and there's Game Pass. Xbox Live Gold lets you play online games and gives you free games every month. Kind of like basic PS Plus does, right? But the fact that they've tiered off these things, like in my head, you should have just have basic PS Plus, like Xbox Live Gold, and then just PS Plus Plus. If you could call it that, where it's literally like
PS Plus.
But yeah, pay a bit extra, and here you go. You've got access to these, first party titles, third party titles, and backwards compatibility or whatever with the old titles. I don't know why there's a third tier. It's just dumb. It's straight up dumb.
The third tier is there because they're like, cool, we can get people to pay more for our classic games library. And then the games library is so fucking garbage that it's like...
Yeah, it's weird. But so like we said, if we did not have access to the likes of Game Pass and all the exclusives that we do, thanks to, receiving review code, the middle tier is something I would definitely consider.
I think the PS4 and PS5 offering is very good.
The final tier, that's a stretch for me. I'd probably do a month just to scratch that nostalgia itch and be like, oh cool, I played these games. But then I can't say I'd keep it. Cool. We have a question this is an interesting question from DomD_Dom, who says, what's the topic on the next episode? ? Possibly Apex related. Side eye emojis. I don't know if that's referencing anything. I don't know either. What's the topic on the next episode? Is it Apex related? Now, they're asking this going into this recording, in which case we did touch on Apex Mobile. So it's not a whole topic.
Neither of us really play Apex, so if there was like some big thing happening,
I mean, there's a new
that
hero
we just
and
missed.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint.
Well, with Elden Ring done and dusted, I'm suddenly free to stream other shit, and it's weird because I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna play now. What am I gonna?
Yeah, you feel very empty inside, don't you?
I feel hollow. Some would say.
I would say Tunic, but I keep forgetting that you play Tunic.
Finish Tunic, I don't know.
What a game as well. Jesus.
We have a question from MJ Khan. He asks, "What is the worst video game add-on you've bought? For example, iToy, Connect, Labo, etc."
Oh, okay. So like a hardware thing, not like an expansion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if you wanted to, if you have a DLC or something that comes to mind, why not? It is a video game add-on, quote unquote.
That was bad. Probably Connect, to be honest.
Yeah, Connect is the one where I think in practice it is like, whoa, can you believe that this technology exists then? I mean, sorry, on paper it is like, wow, but then in practice it is like, it's not.
It's pretty annoying because like I was really sold on the early like pitches from Microsoft, like those concept videos, like it looked fucking rad. And then, when you actually got to play, firstly, that camera was comically large. I didn't realize it would be that big.
It's about like a whole separate room.
Yeah. But I just think like the experiences on it were not good at all. I do respect that it exists, and I'm glad it exists because I've seen people actually use Connect outside of Xbox for very interesting things. Like people have used it in medical settings to help like on surgeries and stuff like that. People have used it for reactive digital art, which is always fun. I saw a lot of people while I was studying at Wits use it for artworks because like the camera sensors in there are very advanced.
High tech.
Yeah, when you crack that thing open, you're getting a lot of cool tech for not a lot of money, especially when Microsoft had kind of abandoned it and they were like giving the things away. yeah, I just think it was just poorly supported on Xbox. I think none of the games there really used
It was
very
also
well.
at a weird time for Xbox with the Xbox One when Xbox were not at their greatest.
Well, that was Connect 2. That was when they launched the damn
you're right.
console
Sorry,
with the
you're
thing,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Connect was a 360 thing.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the Connect that shipped with the Xbox One was just as useless. I think I used that thing even less, to be honest. It was set up and it was like... I
completely forgot. I thought it was an Xbox One thing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was really the worst thing to like price the Xbox One with the Connect included when you made such a weak case for the thing existing on the previous gen. So...
What a weird thing.
Yeah. What a weird thing.
For me, it's not so much a waste of money. It wasn't quite on the level of Connect, but we did get the Wii fitness board.
Did you? Okay.
It worked and it was fun to do Wii fitness, but like it existed for nothing else really. Like there was no. I mean, look, because again, like it's a weight at the end of the day. It's like a digital scale. Sorry. Like how do you tie that into games? You can't really do much. So for Wii Fit, pretty cool, but that is all it did, and we used it for a month or two, maybe more, and it just never got used again. In fact, it's funny because I think my mom ended up using it more because I was like, hey, you can use the software to exercise, and check your weights and do some yoga and whatever, and she enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think that was the appeal of the Wii at the time.
Yeah. What's interesting, there's a kind of funny gaming podcast. I think it was an episode that came out this week or last week where they interview old Reggie from Nintendo.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Because his books just come out, and part of the conversation they had, I think they asked him something of the lines of what did Nintendo ever do anything that surprised him? Like, did they release anything that ended up being way more successful than they expected? And he said the Wii fitness board was that. Like, they expected it to sell, but they kind of had expectations of like, it's a piece of software with hardware. It's like, I think it was $100 or something. It's like quite a steep asking price. But if I recall, he said there was a backlog of sales for like 2 years after the thing launched. It was just sold out. So to meet the demand, like in terms of supply, they actually battled. And it's just interesting to hear, like, I never knew that it sold that well, that they struggled to keep up with, orders for it. You think it's the Wii balance board. Like, damn, how many people want the Wii balance board? Turns out a lot of people wanted the Wii balance board.
Didn't they? So I seem to remember an E3 long ago, and I can't remember if this was Nintendo or Ubisoft at the time. But I seem to remember a controller that would clip on sort of like a blood pressure sensor on your finger.
That was Nintendo.
What was that thing fucking called? Did it ever come out?
I don't know. I don't know. Nintendo are really good at experimenting with things like that.
And I seem to recall Ubisoft making a game that was like a breathing thing that worked with that thing. But like, you see, I'm Googling it and I can't find
maybe it never released. I remember seeing that E3 where they spoke about it.
Oh, Wii Remote Blood Pressure Monitor patent filed. So there was a patent for it. But I seem to recall like it was actually like revealed. You know what I mean?
It was.
Oh, but the Vitality sensor. That's what it was called.
Did it ever come out? It must have.
Wii Vitality sensor. It did. Wow. Oh, no, wait. The Wii Vitality sensor is a cancelled accessory for the Wii.
Okay.
It was announced in 2019 and then just never.
Right, announced in 2019?
Yep.
No ways. It was way before. It was for the Wii.
Yeah, the Wii was 2019.
But the Switch was out by then.
Oh, sorry, 2009. Sorry, I'm derping. Sorry.
I was like, why? We've had the Wii U and
2009. 2009.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, hectic. Okay. Yeah, it's
cool.
Literally just a blood pressure sensor.
My God. Okay, and then last question from Cello Zede, who asks, does Sandy wear all his jewelry when he drives his car?
Oh, fuck.
I have no idea.
So do you know the context for this?
No, I don't.
Okay, so this is a Formula One joke. So the Formula One's has a new president as of like last year, end of last year. FIA has a new president, and he's been trying to instigate new rule changes for drivers to follow. So one of them is like they all need to wear fireproof underwear.
It just sounds funny when you say it like that.
Which some races have said leads to them being even hotter in the already fucking scorching hot cockpits that they're in.
The cockpit. See what you did there.
Hey. And some people say it's part of the reason why like Lando Norris crashed in the Miami thing, because he had just lost so much body fluid, like he was a bit hazy and stuff like. So it just sounds even more dangerous than it should be. You know what I mean? The other one is he said drivers aren't allowed to wear jewelry in the cars for safety reasons. So Hamilton a lot of drivers took issue with this, but Hamilton more specifically, so much so that I think at the Miami race, he rocked up at the press conference wearing 3 watches, 5 gold chains. Like he went so fucking overboard. It was amazing. It was such a funny protest.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. So funny. But it's like, no one really understands these rules, because like the commentators even like are saying there is a certain expectation of risk you take on your life just getting into a Formula 1 car.
For sure.
Like they are splitting hairs on this shit when there are actual other issues to address, like all of the drivers complaining that the new regulations make these cars a lot more stressful on the body, like their necks are taking on much more strain, which could have actual long-term effects on their health, you know. But no, the fear's worried about how many gold chains Hamilton is wearing in his car. So
and your
it's all very stupid.
Fireproof underwear.
Yeah, and your goods. Yeah, it's all very silly, and I hate that it's dominated.
How many people do you think at that press conference asked Hamilton for the time as a joke?
Yeah, and I really wish he had like looked at a different watch every single time.
I was like, well, it's 3 p.m. in Tokyo. It's
yeah, I've got 3 time zones on my arm right now,
just in case. That's hilarious.
Fantastic.
But yeah, so do you wear your jewelry in the car? I mean, I drive with
I
the
go
watch.
one step further and wear no jewelry at all.
Oh wow! Do you wear fireproof underwear in the car?
I am FIA safe. Give me a Formula 1 driving seat tomorrow.
Good Lord. Cool. Well, that is all the questions.
If you want to send us questions, you can email us checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on all of our social platforms at Checkpoint Chat. That's been episode 158.
What?
After a nice
158.
185. Jeez, I can't do numbers today.
Crikey.
My bad. Crikey. It's only 11 a.m. and feels like I'm drunk.
Sure. Did you have a beer for breakfast?
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for returning after our little 2-week siesta, little break. I don't think we'll have any interruptions for a while.
No, this is
not from my end.
The returnal episode. Hey,
yeah, Checkpoint Chat returnal. But thank you so much for listening. We will see you next week, as always.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.